I think if I had just pushed with these 3 zealots, I probably would have been able to kill him, or at least put a lot of pressure on him. But that's okay. Again, I was waiting for zealots to come barreling down my door. But I now am also supply blocked, but I'm supply blocked to 26. And mine is just about done, so I was only supply blocked for a little bit there. But I did make a point of kicking myself because that was what I was focusing on this game, just making probes, making pylons. And you'll see that I fail not only at the pylons bit, but I then also later on fail at continuing to make probes. But that does happen a lot later in the game. Let's take a look at the units tab now. So I'm currently sitting at 21 probes to his 18, 3 zealots to his, well, 111 out of the gateway. So zealot, stalker and sentry. I now have a sentry and another zealot online. Again, I was still expecting a ton of zealots to come, but the sentry, when I got the sentry, I was like, alright, I can relax a bit now, because if he tries to storm up, I'll just block the gate off and they have to filter through one at a time. I'll position 2 in a position where they can just punch them down as they get free of that gap, and then just try and get up more sentries as they keep coming. But I am getting a second sentry and a stalker now. My warp gate is nearly done, as well as these 2 gateways. Now getting a Twilight Council. Again, thinking that he was... At this stage I thought, well, maybe he's decided not to push because he saw me countering. So I thought, well, if he is going some form of counter, he'd still have a lot of zealots. So the best way to deal with zealots, if you're only operating on gateway units, is to go with better zealots. So I thought zealot charge would be good for me, and that was my current intention. Should be warping in units a little bit faster, but I have supply blocked myself again. But I'm still a little bit ahead in the food count. He has now supply blocked himself again as well, so we're both sitting at the same level of food, but he is supply blocked. He's only just become supply blocked and hasn't pyloned up, and I'm about to come out of it and have a backup pylon ready. At this stage, I did realise that my cash was getting a little bit high, and I was sort of struggling to get that down a bit. But there we go. Now that all 4 gateways did produce a unit, they are pretty much... I am pretty low on the minerals, but I do decide that I'll just take a few of my forces and just push out, because I wasn't sure what he was going, because I had assumed 2-gate push. But instead he went 2-gate robo. He does have his first immortal out, is continuing to warp in zealots. Now I'm not quite sure why he continued to warp in zealots. I mean, he has a good wall off here. 1 force field will just prevent anything from getting past here. So all he'd have to do is just park his shooting, or park his ranged units where he could get to me. But then zealots are a good robust unit, and they are important. So I have my small little force here while I expand. Have my expansion gone down now. At the moment, he's sitting on 20 probes to my 27, so I'm a long way ahead in the probe count. Would like to be seeing more probes come out of me at this stage, and I am supply blocked again. When I cast this game, I actually thought I played this game really well, but apparently I didn't. Should have been making more probes and should have been making more pylons. The 2 things that I was really trying to focus on this game, but I didn't want to lose all these units. I just wanted this to be a push to see what he could do. And because he did wall off so well, I figured not to bother. There's no point in throwing my guys to their deaths. But there we go. Dropping down more pylons now. Expansion is almost done. Dropping 2 assimilators. And at this stage, I did think, well, I only saw these 2 gateways. So I'm like, well, he's 4 gated. And I will just double check that to see if I'm not an idiot. No, that's his view. Wrong person. Oh yes, no, I had seen the Robo Bay. And nothing else, so... Oh, that's right, I did too. And for some reason, I thought, oh great, Robo Bay! He won't have any detection, I'll transition to Dark Templar! Of course, Robo Bays can produce observers. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I'm just going to call that a blonde moment, despite the fact that I'm not. So I do transfer a few probes from my main to my expansion. I do leave this probe sitting here for quite a while, but there we go, he's going now. Would like to have been producing more. There we go, more probes being produced now. Am getting am getting upgrades. Now, at this stage, I moved my forces down to here because I'm like, well, I may as well go for a bit of an attack and actually try and do a good amount of damage. Because I felt at this stage, because he hadn't pushed, he was either going for heavy upgrades or he was only operating off exactly what I saw. And I thought, well, either way, I need to get in there and see what's going on. And I wasn't really comfortable in transitioning to Robo at this stage. I wanted to keep utilizing the 4 gateways I had up and running. My gas is getting a little high. I did at this stage consider transitioning into High Templar as well, but because I wasn't quite sure of his composition, I didn't want to do that blind. So that's what also prompted this attack. I wanted a bit more knowledge as to what he was planning on getting. If we go back to his view, he's just producing Immortals and Gateway units and has a ton of pylons sitting here. There is a probe sitting around, just chilling. He's obviously decided that because he built these probes, he's going to go on strike. There is a probe sitting here doing nothing. I don't know what that's about. Now, this is the part where I decide to push, and we'll zoom back just quickly for those who would like to see it. So he actually parked his forces here, waiting for me to attack. He does have a probe in his army for some reason. And I, being, trying to be a little bit more macro-orientated this game, because it's what everyone says you should be focusing on. Screw your micro, get your macro. So I blind move. Don't pay any attention, I just click, move down to his expansion. Dead, 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 dead. I mean, just watch the units here. 10, 9, 8, 1 sentry, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5 stalkers, 3, 2, and I only realised when I was I think both my sentries had died before I realised. That may have been my force field, it may not have been, I'm not sure. But yeah, I didn't realise that I was under attack. So my immediate impression was, quick, get more dudes out. And that's what I did. I immediately built 4 Zealots, but there's a lot more stuff here than I have. 4 Zealots can't really stand up to 7 Zealots, 2 Immortals and a Stalker. But I do have +1 weapons, so my guys are a little bit better. But then he does decide to split his Zealots, and he did have 2 Zealots coming in from the back, so he only had 3. He only had 3 attacking Zealots. And I don't know if he noticed that probe there until I destroyed it. But again, I still think if he had a pushed with this and just sort of regrouped after he waited for those extra Zealots to come up and then push, I would have died. Because at this stage, I'm sitting on 3 Zealots and a ton of probes. Dark Shrine is up though, so I will be getting some Dark Templar. I did think, well, I survived the rush. Maybe everything he had died and I just didn't notice. So I'm going to go ahead and expand while he's distracted. But obviously that's not the case because he pulled his forces back to here, but I didn't see them. Even if my units did bring them up in my, where I could see them, I didn't notice them. Again, the Dark Templar, when he ran past, didn't notice it. I believe I do catch this Zealot, and I'm like, crap, he's pushing me again. I better go back and focus on what I'm doing. I do get a forge for more upgrades. I don't think I end up using it though. But that's okay. I did warp in some cannons because it was so long between pushes. I'm like, maybe he transitioned to Void Rays, realizing that I was 4-gating. But I do come back and try to macro. I do get a few more dudes. But at this stage, yeah, he's sitting on... So now he's still a long way ahead of me. He's got double the amount of Zealots, same amount of Stalkers, 1 less Sentry, and 2 Immortals. So, should be fairly easy. But my Dark Templar does get up here. He doesn't have an Observer at his base at the moment, and he's currently building a Colossus. That was my guess when I saw this working on the what I could only assume be the extended thermal lance, because I didn't think he needed the the Observer upgrade, and I didn't think he was using Warp Prisms. But he does try to push in with my Dark Templar in his base, but I warp in for Dark Templar and try to take on his force. And because his Observer, which is hiding, it is up here somewhere. He does have an Observer here. There it is. But because he didn't have any line of sight to it, they killed all of his stuff and held off this attack. Now, after I expanded, because I am doing a lot of stuff here at once, but I did realise that he couldn't see past here. So if I throw a pylon down and manage to sneak the probe in and out, Dark Templar right at his front door. And I figured at this stage that if he hadn't gone all in, he'd be pretty much close to it, to having no units left. So I move in with Dark Templar, and then I'm like, wow, wait a minute. He left his expansion undefended. I thought I actually sent them back out to deal with that. No, obviously not. I think I must have just clicked. Yeah, I must have just clicked and not paid any attention. And then when they were in the base under attack, I'm like, crap, I better actually pay attention to what they're doing. But at this stage, I have 3 bases up, 2 extremely poorly saturated, and my main is starting to get mined out. I should have transferred. Just chunk these guys, go over there or there. It doesn't really matter, either or. But my Dark Templar push does get held off. He did with this Observer and the Colossus. He just kept dancing back and forth in between this high ground, in between the elevation of his main. I do build more Dark Templar, realizing that he doesn't really have a lot to deal with it, and his expansion is only just starting to get saturated, whereas I'm sitting on 2 fully ready to go expansions. He does move out Zealots, and then he does decide to move out his Observer. But I do finish everything off here, and then continue to have the DTs move in. He does forget to move the Observer, so I don't quite understand his intention there. Probably just a miss, just a missight on his part, realizing that he needs that Observer to do anything. But the Colossus is pretty much dead now, and he does move it back to where I can see it. So this will get 1 shot off and then die, and now he's sitting on a few Zealots to my several Dark Templar. So the Dark Templar are just going to mow their way through the base. I'm continuing to produce more Dark Templar down here, and again, look at them all! They're just chilling out, doing nothing. But at this stage, I figured if he had a hidden expansion, he really should be reinforcing this better with 5 gateways. Especially because I was only running on 4. Did he have any upgrades? No, he hadn't got any upgrades at this stage. But that's pretty much it. He doesn't have anything. He didn't even try building anything. Does either insult me or compliment me sarcastically. Either way. And that's all she wrote for this one. Yeah, I thought based on that comment there, I thought I must have played a lot better than I had. But having now looked at it, I really didn't. Yeah, I didn't play as well as I should have. I should be. You know, I still am in bronze/silver, so I am a relatively low-ranked player. But you know, if I'm going to improve, I need to always be making pylons, always be making probes, and I did stuff that up a lot in this game. But at the end of it, I mean, I did have extremely good saturation in comparison to him. He wasn't even fully saturated at his main, as you can see by the fact that I'm all mined out and he's not, and the fact that I've had these guys mining pretty solidly all game. So I did just outplay him, but I have made the transition to random, and I did happen to draw Protoss this game. So it is the race that I have made Silver League with. So I probably was a bit of a cut above this guy. But that's it. I'm out of StarCraft and out of jokes, so I'm done here.